Hello, everybody. Dan Lucas from Credo here, and welcome to our 50 States in 50 Days video series. Today we are on day 34, and today we're doing the state of Kansas. And Kansas was admitted to the Union on January 29th, 1861. I've only been to Kansas, I think, twice in my life. One time, gosh, I thought I was going to lose my life. I think I was near Wichita, and I was driving on a really long stretch of highway, and it was sort of like late in the afternoon, kind of in the summertime, and you can see like forever there because it's so flat. It's really beautiful. I mean, it just kind of reminded me of like Teddy Roosevelt, how he used to travel around and kind of fall in love with our entire country. But it's really, really beautiful, and you can see for miles. It's amazing. Um, and the sky turned all kinds of weird colors, and there was a big storm and this and that, and all of a sudden I started remembering the movie Twister, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is how I'm going to go. I'm going to be right in the middle of the highway and just carried, however, there was like green color, and there was like brown and red, and it was just very, very ominous. And I'm sure people would have laughed at me that were from Kansas at the time, but it really scared me. And maybe it was dangerous, and maybe I was just oblivious to it, and I was the only one out driving. But that's what I remember. I didn't mean to be kind of somber there about it, but I do remember it being beautiful. I do remember, but I do remember that little scare. That was a little that got my hair standing up on my arms. Anyway, we're talking about tax credits. So, the state of Kansas actually has a good list of tax credits. I mean, I would say it's pretty, it's kind of on the medium high end of the spectrum. They're definitely supporting a lot of jobs, business activity, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have a lot of huge cities there, like a lot of states might have. Obviously they have big cities there, but nothing like New York or California, Chicago, things like that. So, I think they have to provide some incentives to, further business in the state. So let's go through them. I'm going to name some credits, and I'm going to go through the list, and then I'm going to park on a few of them and just give you some commentary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the ones that I think have more applicability to this particular audience, the people that are likely to watch this video. But if you need information on anything I skip over or go over fast, put it in the comments. Send us an email. Call our office. You can go to our website, credofinance.com. We'd love to help you. On a case-by-case basis, we can look things up for you if you'd like, but you got to ask us, because it's too hard to do hours and hours and hours of videos on tax credits for each state. Okay, so let's start. We're going to do these in alphabetical order. Excuse me. All right, so first one is called the abandoned well plugging credit. Not sure what that is, but if you have an abandoned well, you might know what that is if you live in Kansas, and might want to look into that. They have the adoption credit, which typically is what it sounds like. If you've adopted a child, there's federal credits on that as well, but it looks like Kansas is going to let you double dip on that. They have the agritourism liability insurance credit. They have the alternative fuel tax credit. Let's look at that one real quick. So as you know, there's a lot of federal credits around alternative fuels and electric vehicles and all things like that. But if you're in Kansas and if you've made expenditures for a qualified alternative fuel motor vehicle, or even if you've made expenditures for a qualified alternative fueling station, you can get a nice credit. And it looks like you can get up to $3,000 per vehicle. And if it's a bigger vehicle, you can get even bigger credits. It even says they have a credit up to $50,000. So there looks like they've got some nice credits there you can double dip on. The federal credit is still $7,500 for most vehicles, but it looks like Kansas has some pretty favorable credits, and that makes sense too, because they probably work hard to keep the air there as clean as possible, and it doesn't surprise me that they would have generous credits in this area. Um, there's the angel investor tax credit. All right, now you're talking. We're talking to entrepreneurs and business owners here. Angel investor tax credits are always exciting. And let's see, this one, the one that's in effect now, was in effect after 2004, and it is still in effect until January 1st, 2027. So a lot of time here. If you make a cash investment in a qualified security of a qualified Kansas business, and they have lists of what all these things mean, you can get a nice tax credit. Now, they actually have an application that you download, and it gives you some guidelines for angel investors. So you can obviously do this in advance of making an investment to make sure you qualify and make sure that you're doing it in the right way. Or if you've already made it, you might still qualify. You just got to go back and download the application and file the application to get the credit. Okay, so they are going to review this to make sure you qualify. Let's see. Now, that the business has to also have registered with the state of Kansas as a qualified business so that they can be eligible for angel investor credits for the people that invest in their business. Let's see. And the credit is up to 50% of your cash investment. That's enormous. That is a huge amount. Wow. And it looks like you can get, well, it's up to 350,000, but gosh, I mean, if you invest 10,000, you get a credit of 5,000. If you invest, wow, that's interesting. So they have it's a very large credit, and looks like you can actually transfer this credit. So it's a transferable credit. I don't see that very often. Not an angel credit or angel investor credits, and that means that you can sell the credits that you earn to someone else if you want to. That's huge. So this is a phenomenal angel investor credit in the state of Kansas. Wow, that's really impressive. If you're investing in the state of Kansas, you need to be looking at this for sure. Okay, there's the assistive technology contribution credit. Let's see. Let's look at that one real quick. Is that? Oh, this is a corporate credit, meaning that you have to be a C corp. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We don't have a lot of C corp people watching these videos, but if you can apply for this in advance. You can apply with a certain university or another qualified organization that the state recognizes. Get your project qualified in advance and get this credit. So if you're a C corp and you are doing adding some technology to your business or something new or something innovative, might be something you want to look at. Okay, next one. This is definitely going to be applicable. We need to look in this one is the business and job development credit, and they've separated this out in two little areas. One is the job expansion and investment credit, and you can get that for the employer and for the employee. Okay, they also have the Kansas Enterprise Zone Act, and you can get that. Oh, they have credits on payroll, so that's really for the employee and for the employer. Okay, so those are pretty generous as well. Credit amount can be, let's see, $100. No, that's not right. Oh, and it also gives you additional credits if you're in an enterprise zone, but it looks like it gives a credit to. Oh, so it's a double dip credit. So you're going to get amount per each employee that you hire. You're also going to get an amount that you invest in that employer overall. Okay, so it's really like you get a fixed amount for just hiring a new person, and then you get another amount based on how much you invest in that person. Okay, so there's a lot to it. I mean, there's a lot of qualifications if I'm looking here, and they actually have a lot of things that can add to that credit that will make it higher. But there's a lot of details behind it. So if you're hiring in Kansas, or if you're just growing your business in Kansas, you need to look up these enterprise zones and see what location you're in, and if it is in one of these enterprise zones that they're trying to further. And you need to be looking at the details if you're hiring people. Okay, so if you're a growing business hiring people, you need to be looking at the business and job development credits. Let's see, they got the business machinery and equipment credits. They have the Center for Entrepreneurship credit. That's interesting. Let's look at that one. So that's one you have to get approved in advance. And it's an income tax credit that's allowed for a contributor that makes a contribution for the Kansas Center of Entrepreneurship, right? So it's probably, it's like a scholarship fund. And if you make a contribution to it, you can get a tax write-off up to 75%, or sorry, not up to, the credit is 75% of the total amount of the contribution. So that's pretty neat, and you can carry them forward. So if you don't happen to use it all in this year against your Kansas tax liability, you can just roll it forward to the next year. So that's great. They do limit it to 100,000 per individual per year, but I wouldn't think that's a big issue for most people. That's a pretty big contribution to make to a scholarship fund. Um, and if you have that kind of money to throw around, you may not be all that worried about tax credits, quite frankly. But that's pretty neat. I might even look at that for myself. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, just to participate in it, because it's I love donating stuff like that. Okay, they have the child daycare assistance credit, self-explanatory. They have the community service contribution credit. They have the declared disaster capital investment tax credit program. They have the deferred maintenance credit. Let's look at that real quick. So let's see. This is any taxpayer that makes a contribution to a community college located in Kansas, and they use it for capital improvements, or if it's a technical college that uses it for deferred maintenance or the purchase of technology or equipment to a post-secondary educational institution. So I would be surprised if you hadn't heard of this. If you have a child that's in one of these community colleges or in a technical college, I just think these are cool too, because these are really supporting high school people with high school diplomas to get more education. And so, wow, this is really neat. This is the second one. This is the second one in a row that I think just really kind of gives people a hand up, So that's really neat. Good on Kansas for that. Let's see. They've got the disabled access credit. There's an Eisenhower Foundation credit. Let's look at that one real quick. Another foundation. So Kansas they have a lot of different places where you can donate money to different types of scholarship funds, right? So they can tax people to fund these programs, but it looks like they're making a lot of it voluntary, which is really neat. And they're going to give you some tax credits for that. So if you really like giving and you like supporting business and small business, Kansas is a great state to make some cool donations to some cool organizations and get some tax credits for it. So this is another one that you get 50% of the total contribution made during the year. Pretty cool. Credit can't exceed $25,000. Let's see. We've got the electric cogeneration facility credit. We have the employer health insurance contribution credit. We have the environmental compliance credit. We have the film production credit, and we have talked about these a lot. And again, a majority of states actually have these. It used to be a little more rare, but now there are a ton of states that have film production credits. I think a lot of them have found that it creates a lot of jobs and has a lot of activity and shows the beauty of their state, so it's good marketing. Let's see. The credit is 30% of direct production expenditures made in Kansas that are directly attributable to the production of the film in Kansas. Important to remember, it's not just the filming portion. It can be pre-production and post-production expenses, or people, staff, employees that you have working on this. Amount of tax credits can't exceed $2 million per year. That's usually not a problem for most people. I wonder if they filmed Twister in Kansas, like I was talking about earlier. Wow, they might have missed this credit. That might have been too long ago. That's one that a lot of people miss if they're doing things in this area and they're not necessarily they don't consider themselves in Hollywood or as film producers, but they're making digital content or they're producing different things that are video content. They don't realize that they might qualify for these. Okay, let's see, they have the Friends of Cedar Crest Association credit. They have the High Performance Incentive Program, and under that they have the investment tax credit and the training and education tax credit. And what these are business credits that if you're investing in your business for processes, systems, things like that, so it could be something tangible, something intangible, or training and education for your people, right? So a big push in Kansas to not only train and educate people as they exit high school, but also people that are already in their vocation, right? So they're going to give you some nice tax credits if you're doing either one of these things in your business. They have an historic preservation credit. We've talked about these in a lot of other states. If you're spending any money to preserve, fix up, rehabilitate either real estate or property or monuments, things like that, make sure you're getting this credit. In addition to that, they have the historic site contribution credit. So they're in the same family of credits. But just know if you're in any of those areas, or if you think you might be, you're curious, definitely look it up because they have some incentives there in that area. They have the individual development account credit. Let's take a look at that one real quick. Let's see. That is, it looks like it's applying to corporations. Oh, so this is another one of those voluntary funds that it looks like it is an education fund, and corporations can contribute to it, and the funds are used to develop people in the state of Kansas. Looks like you have to fill out an account, or you have to fill out an application in advance, but that's pretty neat. That's a pretty good, again, this is another fund that the state keeps to help give people a hand up. So again, bravo to Kansas. Let's see, we have the Law Enforcement Training Center credit. We have the Low Income Student Scholarship. We have the Petroleum Refinery credit. We have the Promoting Employment Across Kansas credit. Let's look at that one real quick. So the Promoting Employment Across Kansas credit, it says taxpayer must meet the following qualifications to be eligible. You have to be the owner of a qualified company. You have to sign an incentive agreement with the Kansas Department of Commerce. And you have to be, it has to be under the Promoting Employment Across Kansas Act, and they call it PEAK, P-E-A-K. You have to materially participate in a trade or business of a qualified company. And you have to have relocated to Kansas from another state, okay? So that's promoting employment across Kansas. Obviously, if businesses move into Kansas from other places, that's promoting employment. The credit is 95% of the taxpayer's resident individual's income tax liability for Kansas source income. Wow, that is tremendously generous. 95%, my goodness. So if you move your business to Kansas, you probably ain't going to pay a lot of tax in Kansas. Wow, that kind of almost makes it like a tax-free state for a business owner. Interesting. Okay, let's see. We also have the purchases from qualified vendor credit. Let's look at that one real quick. So if there's a certified business of Kansas and they are a qualified vendor, so if they're on a list, and they have all these lists on the websites, the Kansas Department of Revenue websites, you can get certain credits for buying goods and services from these vendors. It's actually like 15%. So basically you're going to buy things at 85% of normal value, right? So they're probably just giving a hand up here to certain businesses and industries that really need it. But that is pretty interesting. I mean, you can always, if you're a business, look at your list of vendors and see if you have any vendors that are on that list, or if there's vendors on the list that you've been interested in working with. Or if you're not happy with some of your vendors, you might want to change to one of these on the list, because if you find a better vendor and get it at 85% of the normal cost, why not, right? Let's see, we have the qualifying pipeline credit, regional foundation credit, research and development credit. We talked about R&D a lot in a lot of these other states. These are huge. A lot of times state can be just as much or better than the federal credits. We know the federal credits are big. And again, we're going to call R&D on these videos innovation, because R&D is, I don't think, the best descriptor of what these credits or how you can qualify for these credits. It doesn't have to be something that you think you have to wear a lab coat to do or have a microscope, okay? It can be something innovative. It can be a process. It can be like a Six Sigma project. It can be a new software that you're developing. It could be a new process for preparing tax returns. That's something in my industry. It can be a new way of um, uh, shredding paper. It could be a new way of shuffling paperwork around the office a certain way. I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think you get the idea. It's really anything that's making your business better, anything that's innovative, that is making a product or process better in your business. And you're going to want to double dip on these. People miss these all the time. Huge business, lots of companies pop up to do R&D credits, and all they do is R&D credits. And the reason is because so many people miss them, and there's so much money involved. So if you have any uh, suspicion that you might be doing some innovative activities and you might deserve these credits, please look into these. Um, there's a rural opportunity zone credit. We've talked about these in a lot of other videos. A lot of time they're called they're called just opportunity zones for federal, but they can be called enterprise zones in other states. But basically, there's maps that show you, hey, if you're doing activity in these areas, we are giving incentives in here. We're giving, um, uh, you might have some low-hanging fruit there that you're missing. So you're going to want to go look at those maps and see, hey, am I operating in any area that's in one of these zones? Because you definitely could be missing something. They have the storage and blending equipment credit. They have the swine facility improvement credit, and they have the telecommunications and railroad credit. Let's see. So, and they also have a lot in Kansas. So those are all the tax credits in Kansas. They also have a lot of different ways of exempting yourself from sales tax, and they have a lot of ways of getting abatements on any property taxes. So they have a lot of ways of reducing your tax in Kansas. In fact, to me, it looks like if you're running a business and you're reinvesting in your business, it looks like they got plenty of credits for you to knock out any and all of your tax liability. That would be my thought. If you have a huge business, they have a lot of kind of machinery and equipment fixed asset type credits. They have a lot of sales tax abatement programs, a lot of property tax abatement programs. This whole program called PEAK, the Promoting Employment Across Kansas, there's a whole lot of areas in there that can help you to provide incentives and get grants and get helps like incubator, things like that. So anyway, I think that Kansas is a very favorable state for business, in my opinion, from what I see, and lots of different opportunities. If you're in Kansas and anything I've been saying is resonating with you, or bends your ear, and you want more information, please let us know. Please put a comment on the video in the comment section. Send us a question. Send us an email. Let us know what your question is. Let us know if we can look up something from you or for you. If you're in Kansas and you're a tax professional or a business owner that's familiar with any of these, please post your comments. Tell us, was it easy to get? Was it hard to get? Did I say something incorrectly? Is there been an update I might have missed? Let me know, because my purpose is not to be the smartest guy in the room. My purpose is to get this information out there, because I know that a lot of people are missing these credits, and right now people could really use the extra cash and the extra incentives to keep going. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for listening, and it's been a pleasure. So take care, and if you're in Kansas, get those credits. All right, take care. Bye-bye.